Hello, everyone. Welcome to Screen Peeking, a weekly podcast about video games and everything related to video games. We got a fun show for you. We got some predictions, we got some updates. I'm joined today by my cousin Nick. Nick Hickson. How are you doing today?
Awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. And then we have a very special guest with us on this wonderful evening, Owen Normandy. How are you doing? How are you holding up?
I'm doing great today. Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. All right. Anyways, let's just get into it. I don't have much else to say. Oh, this is our first week, right? That it's going to be YouTube only, no
hmm
podcast services. Um, so yeah, you can find us on YouTube at the Nickelodeon channel and about only there. With that said, let's get into it. Nick, what have you been playing? It says here you beat Demon Souls, right?
I did. I finally beat it. I took
Awesome.
quite a while actually, but about 17 and a half hours when I was like looking at the in-game clock and just watched a
Nice.
36 or 39-minute speed run today, and I feel
Oh,
pretty shitty
jeez.
about that actually. but I had a blast playing it. It was awesome game. I'm looking forward to going through on New Game Plus.
Cool, cool. And then yeah, Owen, we got something to talk about together. So our kind of tradition at this point is golf with your friends, which is on Xbox or it's on Game Pass. It's pretty much on everything. It's one of those games where it's not particularly conventionally good. Like it's kind of broken and looks ugly, but it's just like broken in just the right ways that it's really dumb and fun. They just released a new map. Owen, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I definitely do. Well, what were your first impressions on that?
I would love to talk about golf with your friends. Well, first of all, golf with your friends is like the perfect game to play at the end of like a long gaming session. And
Definitely
so Ziggy
agree.
and I usually end up playing it at like 1 or 2 in the morning when we're like half asleep and just so tired of like playing games competitively. Um, and yeah, so the new map they added, it's like an underwater theme, which is
Hmm.
kind of interesting. Um, a lot of the other maps they intentionally put in like shortcuts and skips to the courses, but this one has sort of minimal skips, which I was a little bit disappointed
Yeah, same.
in.
Yeah. I don't know if I said this. It's like a arcadey like mini golf type thing. So
Hmm.
it's
Okay.
like it's one of those games where it's really easy to line up and set up your shot and have the right amount of power. It's just like it's mini golf. So there's always like weird. Well, not so mini golf sometimes. Some of the worst like the courses I don't really like have these really overly long holes with just like the absolute worst one in that game is the like worms themed courses like worms the like strategy game. And it just like it'll be these long stretches of just like kind of flat ground, but there's just explosions everywhere, so you have like no control of what's happening. It's stupid. It's not fun. But so this map, I did like it. It was just kind of okay for me. Like it didn't stray into the bullshit of that of just like not being fun, but it definitely, yeah, I agree. It didn't feel as like high skill as some of the other ones that were like I don't know, where it does have very like a lot of good like well designed sort of skips where you have to hit this specific thing, you bounce here or whatever. Um, we there was a couple maps where we kind of found ways to speed on it, but none of them felt. It was all things like, oh, if you like clip off this piece of geometry weird, it'll fling you over here, or stuff like that, which wasn't as fun as like weird side routes. But yeah, I mean, it's like the prettiest map they've added so far for sure. It's like finally the kind of the only pretty map. The others are real ugly. Um, but yeah, that's fun. Any other games you've been playing you want to talk about, Owen?
Um, I I'm in the middle of playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Ooh,
Ooh.
I
nice.
started playing it on the hardest difficulty. It's like Jedi Master or something like that.
Mm.
It is impossible. You have to have um perfect, like frame perfect like timing on your parries and your dodges and stuff, and
Mhm.
it's so difficult. So I got stuck on this section where you're fighting in like in an arena, and you have to fight just a bunch of different kinds of enemies that you've seen earlier in the game.
Is that with like the mechs
And
too? Isn't there like a mech? Maybe I'm thinking it's of something
yeah,
different.
you can.
But...
There's like an ATST that you fight somewhat early on in the game, but no, it's like there's like an Ogdo Bogdo, which is like this big frog thing. He sucks.
Oh, I hate
And
those
it's like
guys.
there's like a dozen tiny little bugs that come and try to bite you and stuff, and that's no good. But I got stuck on that and I quit playing for like 2 months. I just stepped away, and then I came back and I decided to turn down the difficulty, put my pride aside, and I turned it down to normal, and I've been playing it again, and I'm really enjoying myself a lot more on
That's
normal. I'm
good.
not hating the game as much, so that's fun.
Yeah, no, it's always hard when you get like stuck on a game and then try to come back months later. Like I did that when I was playing Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where it was literally the final boss in the game, and it was just I was so stuck. And eventually quit. And like months and months later, I came back and had to like relearn the controls and how to be good at that game just by like replaying the boss over and over again. But I eventually did it, and that felt good. But yeah, no, that's fun. I definitely need to keep playing that game. I played a little bit of it and then got distracted by something else, which is kind of what usually happens. But it is what it is. Anyways, the first
Yeah,
topic I want to talk about.
wait, can I interrupt you
Okay,
quick?
sorry.
Just
Yeah,
because you're
yeah.
talking about Star Wars, and I love that game so much. Have you guys had anything
Awesome.
spoiled for yourself? Have you like looked at everything you can, and then you're just like, I need to
I
play it,
haven't.
and
No,
going to play through? Or
I haven't. I haven't had anything spoiled. No.
awesome.
I've done a pretty good job of avoiding spoilers so far. There's been a few things, but I'm past those now, and they were sort of minor. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing it.
Oh, then that's great.
Yeah,
You guys, yeah, you both definitely need. Oh, Ziggy, you need to get back into it. It's so worth finishing.
Will
100%.
do.
It's so
Yeah.
good. I did that
Okay.
master difficulty, and I know what you're talking about, Owen. That's a tough one. I there's a couple parts where I barely scratched by, but that's a tough one. Anyways, I
it
just
makes
wanted to.
just like this.
Sorry.
It makes the simplest
Yeah.
enemies so difficult. You'd have to have such precision on just like the smallest guys that in normal difficulty
Oh,
you can just breeze through and just
It's
slash
like
them.
one mistake and you're done, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
awesome. Anyways, so first story of the day. Sorry to cut you off there before. Is Rocket League Season 2 got revealed, which I like it. I think it looks super cool. And Season 2, because it like rebooted before, it's confusing. I kind of hate that. Like when I saw the Season 2 trailer in my feed, I thought it was just like an old video. But it's got sort of like a music theme, which I really appreciate. I have the website to it linked here. So they're adding like obviously new Rocket Pass and stuff. But the thing that I really like is like a new customization option where you can add like player anthems. So it says here, cue your music. Player anthems play every time you score a goal, make an epic save, or earn MVP honors. Be on the lookout for new music themed items all season long. Which I think that's really cool. So like scoring a goal or something and having like your favorite song play just seems really interesting to me.
That's really
But
cool.
yeah, and they have Cascade making new music for it too, which I don't really listen to much, but I know he's pretty well respected in like the EDM sphere. But I don't know. I like that Rocket League is doing a music theme because I don't know. Rocket League has always kind of been very tied to music, just in its presentation. I think it's cool. Last season's theme was kind of disappointing to me personally because it didn't really seem like there was a super coherent theme. But this one seems really exciting to me. Owen, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the anthem feature. That's really exciting to me. I need to go through and listen to everything and figure out what my favorite song's going to be. Um, but yeah, also the new cosmetics look really cool. I think you
Oh
mentioned
yeah.
that there were a few that are like synced with the music.
Yeah. There's some like beat synced themes or cosmetics. So there's wheels that like pulse to the beat of the song that's playing at that moment or something, which is super cool to me.
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to those. I like the sort of neon like rave theme that it's kind of got. That's very appealing to me.
Yeah, no, me too. Is that all I have to say on that? Nick, do you have anything
Yeah.
you want to add?
I've never played Rocket League, so I have nothing to
Oh, you
say. But
should.
that
It's
sounds
free
cool.
now.
The having some music play when you get a goal, I think that sounds awesome. I would be down for that if I was into that game.
All right, awesome. So this one, kind of a short story. I just wanted to put in here because it got released today, and it's interesting to me. Is that Oscar Isaac got officially revealed to be playing Solid Snake in the Metal Gear movie, which is a movie that I think is interesting. I don't think it will be good, to be brutally honest. And I don't know. Metal Gear, I feel like just has an essence that's so hard to capture. Like if it was written by Kojima, I feel like I probably still would be cautiously excited for it. But Oscar Isaac, I think, is a good pick. I feel like I just really hope because it's like the director of King Kong working on it, which is the new one. I forget what it's called, like Skull Island, I think. And which, I mean, it's like an action movie director, so hopefully it's good. Hopefully it stays true to the original like spirit to some degree. My personal hope is that Oscar Isaac, I don't think looks very much like Solid Snake, but I do think he looks a lot like Big Boss. In like the prequel stuff, you know. And so if the movie is an adaptation of Metal Gear Solid 3, I think that would be the best personally, because it's like the beginning of the timeline, like there's very little lore baggage attached to it. And it's also my personal favorite story in the series. But I think that would be super cool. It's like a really great way to get people who aren't familiar with the series in, because it's just kind of a straightforward like spy story, and it also is like beloved amongst fans. So I think that'd work. Anyways, I mean, sorry. Do you guys have anything to say about it? I should move on.
I don't.
What chunk of the timeline is low? Because it's sort of like very complex story. There's a lot happening. So what is it about?
Yeah, I mean, I like the movie. You mean?
Yeah, because I've not seen anything about this movie,
Yeah.
so
I don't
I don't
think
know.
they've said. I don't think they've exactly said where it's going to be taking place, or even if it is an adaptation of one of the games. If it is, like I said, I want it to be 3, but I also think if it's just a total side story, that would make me really happy, because I find the video game movies that are often most successful are the ones that aren't really just an adaptation of a game story. Like the Castlevania show is a really good example where that was great and the story was something totally new. But yeah, I feel like it's a thing that will kind of really decide whether it will be good or not. Is just like what they're actually doing in the universe. Because yeah, you're right, it's extremely complicated.
Yeah, they need to like. I don't know Metal Gear that well. That's one of the gaps in my knowledge, video game wise. I haven't played any of them. Or I've played a few of them, but it's been like 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
I find with any video game movie, you have to like honor the world and like the rules of the world, and then you can do whatever story. And if you want to have a character in there, that needs to be do what the character would do in the game, like, or how you know the character needs to be the kind of character you know in the game. Like I think if I remember right, and I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure there's like a Borderlands movie being made, and I'm pretty sure they're making some of the characters totally different from what they are in the game, and I feel like that's just a big mistake. I feel like you don't have to do any of the characters from the game. I think you need to be in the world of the games, and you need to honor the world of the games and the rules, and maybe make references to, this thing happened in this game, a while back or whatever. But I don't think you need to have the characters, but if you do, I think you need to honor them. So it'd be interesting to see what the Metal Gear one's like. I do think that they need to follow the rules of the world. That's all.
I definitely agree. I feel personally the like Detective Pikachu is kind of like the perfect video game movie as far as like what it should be, where I mean, the people who made it, you can tell, are extremely passionate about Pokemon, and it shows. And just, I mean, like you said, like it's something new. Like there was a Detective Pikachu game, but it's a pretty different story from the movie. But it's a new story. It's not just a direct adaptation. But yeah, like it follows the same rules. The Pokemon are the same Pokemon, and they act like those Pokemon, and it's like different characters, but they all feel like they would exist in that like inside of that world, and it has like references for fans of the games and stuff. But yeah, I would definitely agree. But yeah, on to the topic of the show, which is the Game Awards is what, like
Next
6
Thursday.
days from now? Yeah, next Thursday. Or 6 days as of when we're recording. So, last episode we talked about our award predictions, and then this episode I want to talk about what we think is going to happen as far as like reveals and trailers go. So, what new stuff is going to be shown, what older stuff that we've already seen are we going to see something new of? Nick, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, do you want to do it where we all give like one each and kind of go through at a time? Because like I have a few, but I don't want to give all of mine in a row and then maybe take someone else's, So
That's a good idea. Yeah, let's do it like round robin like that.
Okay, I'll just do my first one then.
Okay.
And it's not the one you think. I think there'll be a Zelda Breath of the Wild trailer. And I think there'll be some gameplay clips in it. Too. It'll be like the original Breath of the Wild trailer when you saw like a bit of gameplay, you saw some pairing and that kind of stuff, and it started out really quiet. I don't know how it'll start, but I think it'll be something like that where it shows some scenery and then it shows some gameplay, just quick clips, and then you'll get a release date. That's what I think.
I think, yeah, I would agree. I do also agree. I think it needs to have some gameplay in there because the last one was all just, I mean, it didn't really tell us anything. I would like to know kind of the scope of the game, I suppose. Like, is it going to be similarly open world as Breath of the Wild, or is it going to be something a little bit more linear? Personally, like, I don't know, we're kind of getting off the rails a bit here, but personally, like, the game off of Game Awards onto Breath of the Wild too. But I feel like it'd be cool if because Breath of the Wild was sort of like the big open world, lots to do, lots to see, but it didn't really have much of a story. I think it'd be cool to see Breath of the Wild 2 sort of take that and do the opposite, where it's mostly story focused and mostly like on that making a really cool narrative, but kind of at the cost of the amount of freedom in Breath of the Wild, I suppose. Because like since it's in the same map, I feel like just getting that map like again for me to explore wouldn't be as exciting for me personally. But if they can take that map, take that at like those assets, and then just make something kind of different, like really different structurally from the original game, I think that would be pretty cool. Owen, what's your first one?
I think we're gonna see hopefully some gameplay of the new Elder Scrolls game.
Ooh,
really?
We saw just sort of announcement and
no way.
some scenery, but you don't think so?
Sorry, you finish. I don't think
it'll
so.
Happen. I think it'll happen. Hopefully some gameplay from that.
That'd be cool.
I think that would be dope. Yeah, I think it could happen.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've heard any update on that.
Let me ask you one thing then, real quick.
Okay.
When have we seen a trailer for Starfield, which is coming out before Elder Scrolls?
That's right.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
That's the only reason I was shutting it down so quick. They said that's coming out first, right?
That's fair.
That's a good point. I never thought of that.
Well, maybe a trailer for that then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's possible. Who cares what I think though?
I'm not super familiar with that game. What exactly is it?
I think it's Fallout in space.
Yeah,
that's as far as I know. They haven't shown a trailer or talked much about it at all, but they said that it's coming out before Elder Scrolls. That's all that is like confirmed, and it's in space.
Have we any sort of like in-engine like scenery or any screenshots or anything?
Nope, just CG planets, and that's it. And they've said it's using the same engine as Fallout 76, but updated. Woo!
Oh, updated. Good. Okay. It's like a little concerning.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to one that I just that got me thinking about Naughty Dog, and I'm going to throw this is my wild card, okay? Because everything else is, in my opinion, pretty much just hopes and dreams. The Last of Us will reveal a multiplayer, or not The Last of Us, but Naughty Dog will reveal The Last of Us multiplayer, right, for The Last of Us Part 2. I know that there's supposed to be something like, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's something being worked on, right, by them, some kind of mode that's multiplayer, and I would love to play a multiplayer game with those animations and the sound design and just everything in that game. I'd love that. So I hope, but I also think it's possible. It's been a while. It's been enough time for the game to be out. They could reveal a trailer and just say Q4 next year or something like that. They don't have to have an actual date, but I think it'd be cool for them to show what they're planning. I didn't.
My next prediction is hopefully, I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing a new Microsoft Studios IP.
Ooh, what do you think that might be? Out of curiosity, what
No
studio?
idea. I think they'd probably put Bethesda on it because that's their like newest acquisition. So I think they'd be excited to get them on a project.
Mm-hmm.
Like under Microsoft, I think because Bethesda also announced something at last at E3, right? There was some Bethesda game announced. I don't remember what it was called though.
I think so. There was I mean, they have a
Are you
few
talking about
coming
the
out.
Are you talking about the assassin kind of one? Oh, what's it called for that was supposed to come out for PS5, right? It was one Deathloop. We were excited about that,
Deathloop.
right? Was
Yeah,
that a
yeah. There's Deathloop. There's Ghostwire Tokyo coming out.
yeah? There's a
Those
few of
are
those.
the
Yeah.
two
I just
that
want
come
to
to mind.
clarify though, real quick, just because, and I'm not trying to pick on you, Owen, but I don't want to like put out information that, but Microsoft doesn't hasn't acquired Bethesda yet. I think it's like supposed to be like finished up in February, so I don't think they'd be able to get them on something quite yet. But just wanted to say that before, in case anyone's watching and being like, they,
Yeah.
that's not true. They don't own them yet. But anyways, just saying that quick there.
I definitely think Bethesda will have something to show, though. Yeah. I I mean, sorry, kind of bouncing off that while you're looking something up, Owen. Um, I really want to see whatever the initiative has cooking in their back pocket. Like the initiative has kind of been like teased for a while as their like huge premiere like quadruple A studio. So I mean there's rumors of like a new game in Perfect Dark, which I don't think is true, to be totally honest, and that would kind of disappoint me because I want to see something new, you know. So it would be cool, I think, to see it from them. I'm looking at their other studios here. Ninja Theory, I think it'd be interesting to see something more from like Hellblade because that's like my one of my most anticipated games at this point. We saw it at last year's Game Awards.
Yeah, it makes sense to see it
Um,
at this one if they wanted to wait a year.
What studios have we not seen new games from? Compulsion, I think they're is Compulsion. Oh, they made We Happy Few, right?
I don't
I think
recognize
so.
that studio, to be honest.
Compulsion Games. Yeah, they made We Happy Few. So that was a while ago. I could see them showing something off too, which would be interesting.
That game
Um,
also didn't end up being very popular, did it?
no, it didn't. I think it was a little bit
It flopped.
disappointing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll be able to put out a project that is a little bit better.
I feel like We Happy Few was just kind of like it was marketed as like not even as something more than it was, just as something different. Like I was under the impression it was something a little bit more story based, but it was just kind of like a weird survival game from what I saw, which was disappointing to me because I don't really play survival games. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, I think if they marketed it as like a survival game and not as much as just like a narrative game, I could have seen it doing better. But
Yeah, it
but
seems like
yeah.
there was a lot of sorry. It seems like there was a lot of talent behind it. It just didn't catch really, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. My next one is actually very similar. I said new Microsoft first party game trailer, but we didn't talk about that. So next one on my list is I think it is likely we will see a new Smash DLC character. However, I also said that about the last Game Wars, we didn't see it, so I'm kind of starting to not be so sure. I mean,
A boy
what do
can
you guys
dream.
think about that? A
I'm
boy
with
can
you on
dream,
that.
yeah. I think it's likely. I think it could happen, but I know
What would the character be?
that's a
Bonus
whole other
points.
conversation that I think we
Bonus
should have.
points. Make one guess.
Bonus points. Bonus points. Right off the cuff. I feel like Steve was pretty weird, so I think for this one we'll get something a little bit more tame. And I think it's gonna be what are Nintendo games that released lately?
Paper Mario.
I
The
could see
Mario
it being
collection.
something Zelda related. I can see. Ooh, you know what? Okay, I don't think this is gonna happen, but this would be dope. Okay, so we see the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, and we
Yep.
see some new
I know where you're
character, some
going.
new something, and then the Smash reveal right after is that new character or whatever. I think that would be sick, personally.
Hell yeah.
Because I could totally see the new character tying into Breath of the Wild to some degree.
That weird dead Ganon in the first trailer that we saw.
Yeah, the weird like shriveled up. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
What do you think, Owen?
I guess they could do multiple versions of Ganon because there's several different versions of Link, so it wouldn't be
True, yeah.
too strange to have another Ganon.
Smash fans be livid about that.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be Sakurai himself.
Ooh.
Just
Nah,
no
thanks.
No.
Oh, I would be so down. I want
That would be awesome.
I want Reggie in there. If you ask me, I think
Reggie for Smash.
Oh yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
We just need brawler costumes, and it's just all these like industry like top people.
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer. We got everybody.
That'd be so fun.
Everybody's here.
It could
Everyone.
be a Yakuza character, maybe.
Ooh, Kiryu, or Ichiban. Do you think like the new one? See it.
I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then is that game going to Switch?
I mean, it's never mattered before. Remember Persona 5? Oh, I do. I could definitely see Kiryu.
Exactly.
Kiryu would be cool. I mean, Nintendo and Sega now have a pretty decent relationship, so I could Kiryu in there would make sense. And it's
fairly.
What are you saying?
Fairly iconic character.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, at this point for sure. Yeah, and he's pretty highly requested too. Almost every time I see Smash stuff, I see people bringing up Kiryu. And yeah, I mean now that I say it, I mean Smash characters were decided like what 4 or 5 years ago, so Ichiban probably won't be a thing. And my Breath of the Wild 2 character also probably won't be a thing, unfortunately. But yeah, a man can dream, as we said. Nick, what's your next?
My next one is we are gonna get an Elden Ring trailer finally. I wanted to say that first, but I was like, I'll hold off once or twice. Yeah, we're gonna get a trailer, and we are going to get a release date. It has to happen. I've waited 540 days or something like that, so I am ready for a trailer and a release date.
You think we'll see gameplay?
I don't. No.
You don't?
I think that they're actually a little worried after Demon's Souls came out. I think they're worried about how like their games have never looked the best, but they play so good. And I wonder if they I don't know, because like if you can make Demon's Souls with an old engine, right, and you're just making it look better, and it's such a good game. Well, if they created new mechanics, new combat for this Elden Ring game, and they go, you know what, we just need more time, but we could make a game that looks like that too. Will they? They've announced it for PS4 and like Xbox One and PC. So do they? You know what I mean? I feel like they're kind of tied. I feel like they have to just release it. So I think we're gonna get a release date. I don't think they're pushing it. I think they're going, you know what? This is for the current gen or the last gen now. I think that they need to release the game this coming March.
I think that makes sense. March I think is a good date. Yeah. And what you're saying about no gameplay, I don't know. I mean, I guess like their first trailer after that long of a wait, maybe.
Sorry, yeah, I guess I mean like they'll show gameplay clips, like I was saying with the Zelda thing,
I would agree with
but
that.
not like any in sequence. Oh, I'm gonna go through the level and do this, turn this corner, fight this guy, that kind of thing.
Not like the Demon Souls gameplay we saw. The weirdly
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
weirdly boring Demon Souls gameplay.
It wasn't boring. I loved it, and it's actually the game. That's actually the tutorial.
That's true. That's true. It just felt so weird to me watching it because it was like, I don't know. It just seemed.
But they're also not your kind of games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Maybe boring is right. It was just like watching that and then like seeing the more like action packed gameplay sequence after it. I was like, oh, that was cooler. But yeah.
Yeah, I could go on. Never mind.
Owen, what's your next one? I think hopefully some more news on the new Rare game Everwild.
Ooh.
Possibly a release date, because I don't think they have one yet.
I don't think so.
Really interesting. I'm excited for more stuff from Rare.
Same, yeah. Do you think Everwild is going to be do you think it's going to be like their first single player game in a while, or do you think it's going to follow sort of a similar path of Sea of Thieves?
I think it'll be single player.
I disagree, honestly. I hope it's single player, and I kind of wish it was, but judging just what we've seen in those trailers, where it looks like a lot of similar looking but differently colored people, like doing. I realize that sounded strange. Differently clothed people, interacting. It looks maybe slightly less games as a service-y as Sea of Thieves, but I do think it will be co-op in some way, just based off of how those trailers looked. But I'm excited for that. I would fucking love a trailer from that. I really want to see just like what it actually is.
Speaking of Sea of Thieves, what is going on with Sea of Thieves nowadays?
I kind of fell off like looking at that game. I remember hearing that they were adding seasons or something. And because I'm still like in the subreddit, so I see like reactions to stuff pretty much. But I remember seeing that people were kind of upset about that.
I think there's a big update though that was happening, and I don't give a crap about that game. But apparently it's super popular.
In about a year.
Yeah, same. So from Polygon, they say it's loading. Sea of Thieves is getting seasons and a battle pass in 2021. Riz posted his final update of the year for Sea of Thieves, announcing that the Pirate Sandbox game will look very different in 2021. January players will log in and see a seasonal progression system, with each season lasting 3 months. Interesting, yeah. So it seems like they're kind of taking a more traditional, like modern approach to that sort of model then.
So maybe a battle pass trailer for that then.
Maybe I could definitely see it. Yeah.
Yep.
I think, I think we'll see at least one big first party thing from each of the big three, because it seems like the Game Awards don't necessarily have like. It seems like they have a really good relationship with everybody. I mean, they managed to get the big three up on stage together a couple of years ago. So I think in years past they've kind of had that, right? Like last year we saw the Series X, and then we saw Godfall, and then we saw, what did we see from Nintendo? I feel like we saw something, but I can't quite remember.
I can't remember either.
I feel like there's something, I just can't remember what it was. And I think this year will be similar. I think we'll see some sort of first party thing, whether it's like something we've seen before. I hope it's something new. I swear every like my Elden Ring for you is like Initiative's new game. Every time there's a big conference, I'm like, oh, maybe we'll see what the Initiative's making, because I've been so curious for years now. I just want to know.
Yeah, that would be really nice to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was just a logo like Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. No, my kind of my hope for what the initiatives will be, I kind of feel like Microsoft needs one of those, like, not Death Stranding the game itself, but Death Stranding like the marketing, where where it was just constant, like, what even is this game? Like, it looks intriguing and weird, and everyone, like, every time a trailer drops, people are super hyped because they just want to know like what it is. And I feel like Sony has had a few of those games where every trailer is just like, oh, now we can finally see more of it. I think Microsoft could definitely use a game with that level of like mystique and hype around it. Um, oh, and you just went last, right? I'm struggling to remember. Yeah, you said Everwild. That's right. Then we went off on a whole tangent. So my next prediction is I think we're going to see a God of War Ragnarok trailer, which I think is going to be Sony's big first party showing.
Interesting.
Because they said it was. Did they say, or was it just like a rumor that it was going to be coming out next year?
Yeah, they said it was next
I
year.
feel like I remember hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then yeah, then I think that timing would kind of line up, right? Where if we see,
How long ago was the announcement?
it was at one of the PS5 events, and it was literally just a logo. So I think we will see more of like a story cinematic trailer with. I mean, the gameplay we kind of already know what it is, so I'm sure we'll see snippets like kind of edited in, maybe.
It's
But
now a turn-based
yeah.
RPG.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Yeah,
What is the gameplay but a cinematic trailer, anyways?
it's true. In God of War, pretty much, yeah. Honestly, yeah. So that's my bet.
Hmm. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they showed it. They showed that like quick little logo trailer at when they revealed the PS5's design. If I remember
Mhm.
right. I think it was that same video or that same event.
Nick, what's your next question?
So before I say mine, I just want to quickly piggyback off of one of the previous ones. I can't remember who it was that said the one of Microsoft Studio. I think it was Owen that said like one of Microsoft Studios showing off like a trailer, right? Or was it someone else?
I think it's Owen. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to like put my 2 cents on who I think will show a trailer now, and I
Okay.
think it could be if it was to be anyone, I think it could be the team working on State of Decay 3.
Ooh. We saw because we
Can't remember which
saw
team that is.
like a short cinematic trailer. I think it's Undead
Mhm.
Labs. We saw a short cinematic trailer for State of Decay 3, right? So do you think
Mhm.
we'll just see more of that, or do you think we're going to see something totally new from them?
I think we would see something new, maybe a little bit. It could still be cinematic, but more touch on like what you're going to do or the environment, like where in the world it is, unless they've already said that. And because right now we just saw snow and we saw a cool
Mhm.
monster creature, like some deer
Mhm.
zombie, and I think that it would be cool to just kind of see how they're building this one. I feel like they're going to make a big change with it. I feel like what they did with the first two, they had some stuff that's really cool, but I feel like it wasn't
It's really
I don't
niche.
like saying this, but I don't think it was popular enough, to really
Mhm.
be considered like, holy cow, this is a Xbox first party, you know, presentation here. And I feel like
Mhm.
the type of game it is, being where you have to like micromanage all your different people and stuff, I don't think that's has such a big audience. I feel like they're going to make a bit of a change there, but I think it will still
I can
be
see it.
zombie themed, and I think it'll still be an RPG, and I think it'll still have a big open world. But I think they'll kind of go down a path where it's more focused on maybe one or a handful of characters.
Mhm.
That's my
I
theory.
My big hope for it is, I mean, I think one of the things that drove me away from, I didn't play the first one, but I dabbled in the second one. And for me, I mean, yeah, it was definitely just a little bit too micromanagey for me. And it was also just so like kind of janky and buggy that it kind of like pushed me away a bit. And like you said, yeah, for a like big first party showing, I hope that they manage to polish it up a bit more and just make it feel a little bit more, I don't know, comfortable to play, I suppose. But yeah, yeah, I think that's a solid bet. I could see it
And
happening for
it's not
sure.
my like that was just if they do show a trailer, that would be my piggyback, like my prediction on which studio would show off a game. I think that I
Mhm.
think that Hellblade is not going to be shown because they said that that's going to be on the new Unreal Engine 5 and that doesn't release till next October. So why would you want to show how your game's going to look before you actually have the engine to really push it? I don't know. Maybe.
True. It's true.
So like for me, I just seem like I feel like that. Yeah, they confirmed that that's going to be on Unreal Engine 5. So I feel like that's really cool. I feel like it's going to be an amazing looking game. I just think it's too early to see it. So my next thought was, I don't know if it would be either like Fable or something else, or just like one of the studios that we don't know what they're working on,
Fable
right?
would make me very happy.
But to get to my prediction though,
Right.
I think this isn't to reveal. This is purely a Game Awards thing. I think that they will have a Among Us bit, like how they did the Untitled Goose Game thing last year.
Oh yeah,
I think they'll use Among Us and they'll do some kind of like thing that just to get laughs, and I'll shake my head and be like, I've never played this game, so I get nothing out of this. Just like Untitled Goose Game. But that's my prediction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see either Among Us or Fall Guys getting something like that for sure. Yeah, cool. Owen, what's your next prediction?
Gosh, I had something.
Come back to him. Come back to him.
All right, yeah, I'll come back to you.
I think it's your turn. Isn't it your turn anyway, Ziggy?
Yeah, we can just come back
Sure.
to you. So this is kind of one of my like shot in the like. I don't think this will happen, but I think it'd be cool. And honestly, I could see it being a little bit more likely happening next year. But there's been rumors of a Blue Point Metal Gear Solid remake for a while now, and like they've been leaning into it. Like they've kind of been like, oh, I don't know, maybe not. So I could see, if not this year, maybe next year, seeing something about that, whether it's a logo or a cinematic thing or something similar. And to be honest, I would really like to see, if I'm going into what I want from it, I would really like to see not a Metal Gear Solid remake, but a remake of the MSX games, because I don't think the original Metal Gear games really need a remake. I think they hold up fine. Like they feel dated, but I don't think they're unplayable today by any means. Whereas like the MSX games really do need an upgrade, and they kind of have some like really story critical stuff in them. So I think if it would be definitely like a little bit out of Bluepoint's comfort zone, because they usually just do like graphical facelifts, but I think it'd be really neat to see them actually design and make a like original Metal Gear remake, personally, in 3D and everything, not just like sprite based like the original.
An original remake?
That sounds a little
a little bit. Yeah, so I remembered what I was thinking about.
Awesome.
I think Nick, you were talking about Fable earlier, and that reminded me that hopefully we can get some sort of trailer or more information about Fable, because we got just like a little story thing. It was really interesting, and it was really intriguing, but hopefully some more, maybe a trailer showing, I don't know, maybe a little bit of gameplay. I don't think we're ready for that yet. I don't think it's far enough along to show gameplay yet, but cinematic something maybe.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to know with like how I think in Fable 3 you're like a king, and 2 and 1 you're a different role. So I mean, it'd be cool to, like you said, just at least get some setting. Some here's kind of the villain, or here's your hero, and here's what you're gonna do.
Exactly.
I don't know, because you said you don't think it's ready for gameplay yet, but I feel like I've been hearing stuff about this game for like 3 years now or something. I feel like it's been a long time that we've since we got those original like Playground Games job listings that they're making an RPG, and people are going like, oh, maybe that's Fable. And I could see them being ready for it now, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a toss up, in my opinion, in my humble.
Well, just because the announcement seemed really limited. They didn't really show hardly anything at all. It was just like a voiceover and some plants and stuff. So I don't know. It just didn't really seem like they had a ton with the announcement.
Anyways, I just gave mine like a second ago. Nick, do you have another one?
Yeah, I do. But I want to touch on yours real quick too. Can you just remind me? I had a thought on it, but I forget what your topic was. Can you just remind me what you had said? It was for your last one.
Oh, for my last one?
Yeah.
It was the MSX Metal Gear remake.
Right. That because yeah, I had a thought about what you were saying because you were talking about Blue Point just doing a graphical update and how you would want them to do like an original remake, as you had said, and then I was thinking about it and I'm like, I feel like you wouldn't want. Would you want them to make or like kind of redo like make their own Metal Gear game if they hadn't remastered or remade a previous one? Because I feel like that like just gets you so it gets the whole team of theirs into the story, like the lore, the characters, the environments. Like they have to touch everything. They have to literally look at everything in the game in order to remake it the way that they did with Demon Souls, at least. And I feel like that team, for me, just from a Demon Souls perspective, I want them to make Bloodborne too. Not Bloodborne remake, but like I want them to make another Bloodborne or another Demon Souls game. I feel like the fact that they've gone through and they remade this one gives me confidence in them, in their team, in making a new version, a new game. And I feel like that's all I wanted to say on that, was just that, you know, if they do this Metal Gear remaster or remake, sorry, that would get me in, someone who hasn't really played the games. And I feel like that's kind of the whole reason for that facelift, right? Is to get the people who wouldn't go back and play the older games because they look old. And yeah, I can be lame like that sometimes, but it's usually controls and maybe updating that part. Like I think Blue Point would update controls and they would update the visuals, and then that would be basically it. And that would make me actually want to go back and play that game and see what it's like, and then be able to compare it to the original, hear what people said about it. And like for me, that'd be cool because I'm all about getting into new game worlds, but there's that barrier, and I'm just not going to play Metal Gear Solid 5 because I feel like it's number 5 and I haven't played number 1. And so for me, I just wanted to kind of touch on that and say, like, I think it'd be really cool if Blue Point made this remake of Metal Gear, like the first one, just because I want to play it. And I won't unless they remake it because I have so much confidence in them now.
Yeah. No, I definitely get what you're saying with that. As far as like trusting them to make like a remake of the MSX one, I do, because I think what makes Metal Gear so special, a lot of it is the writing and to some degree like the cinematography and stuff, but it's mostly the writing. And that game already has been written. Like I think they would really just have to like retranslate the Japanese script because the English translation is abominable. But like just retranslate that, and then a lot of it would just be on the gameplay side of things. And one of my favorite Metal Gear games is Metal Gear Solid Rising: Revengeance, which was made by Platinum without Kojima's input. You know, it was something that they did like using ideas from Kojima, but it was largely their own thing. And because of that, like I'm totally open to someone else having their own interpretation of that world and stuff. So I think taking that original script, probably augmenting it a bit, I think would be great. But what you're saying about like the value of a Metal Gear Solid remake, I would actually agree with that. Yeah, I think if they made just like a facelift of the original, it would do great things for getting new fans into the series.
And then my actual prediction here,
Oh, yeah.
I am very confident about this. I know it's very unlikely, but I feel like it has to happen. I think there's an expectation since last year, now that Game Awards revealed hardware with the Xbox Series X, right? I think will they reveal? It's got to be the Switch, the new Switch Pro thing, whatever it is, Switch 2, Super Switch, Super Ultimate Switch Deluxe 4K. I think that they're going to reveal that system, and I think it will be very brief, just like the Xbox Series X, not a ton of detail, and Nintendo will do their own direct thing on it in like January or February or whatever. And I think that it could launch in March as well and have the Zelda and all that stuff. That's what I've been saying for a while. I still agree with myself. I just realized how that sounded. Anyways, I agree with myself, and I think I'm right.
Yeah, I think
I don't think it'll happen, but I'm very confident.
I mean, I think that if they did do that, it would be alongside Breath of the Wild too. I think it's very, very likely that those two trailers will kind of go hand in hand. And those two things will go very hand in hand. I mean, Breath of the Wild launched the Switch. It wouldn't be too surprising for Breath of the Wild 2 to launch the Switch Pro. And just the sheer idea of it builds so much hype that I think it would do a lot for that system. But yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see that happening.
I want to also say, like, because this is about this new Switch, I just got to reinstate my prediction on what it is, and that is that I don't think it's a handheld. I think it is just a dock. Like those rumors way back where people were like, "Oh, are they going to add a updated dock? You know, where you can plug it in and it's now playing in 4K or whatever." I do think that it will be basically a console that sits on your stand, and you will still have your Switch. Your Switch will be valid. It'll still be worth having, but it will play games in a very shitty resolution. And then you will plug your Switch into your dock. It'll play the games at 1080p or 4K or whatever it ends up being, but it's more powerful. You can actually play some of these new games that come out with this current gen that are third party, and that would be the most important part for Nintendo, because right now I do not think many of the new games coming out for this new gen are going to be able to play on their handheld. But I do think they have gold with the Switch, and the fact that it can go from portable to console or to your TV, right? And I think that needs to stay being a thing. And if they know they have so many people with a Switch already, and the price of them is going down like crazy, why not be able to plug it into a new console? You're basically just buying a new console, and you can play the games on that, or you can have your Switch and be able to transfer your saves back and forth and play it on a lower resolution, lower fidelity. I think that would be very important, and I think that that's something that they will be doing.
Yeah, I think
So
like, just an upgraded. Oh, sorry, you go.
Are you saying it's not? There's not going to be any portable aspect at all? You think it's just going to be console, like Switch without the Switch?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be called Switch. I think it'll, if it has Switch, it'll be a part of the name. I think it'll be a whole new console, but it'll just be basically, think of it just a console that sits on your shelf, but it will have a way to slot in your Switch or a way to connect your Switch to it so that you can use your Switch as a controller, for example, or use your Switch to play your game in portable mode in your house, but maybe not away from your house because it needs to run on the more powerful system because it's a more power hungry game, right? So you're still switching, but you're switching in your house. And then you can still have games come out for your Switch, but they're going to be, not as pretty graphics or whatever, right? That's what I think is going to be the difference there. Because they were selling 3DS games forever. Like they can still sell games that don't look the best but play amazing on the Switch, on the handheld version, and they can have these new like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's probably not going to play on the Switch, right? Like, you're going to get that maybe on the system version that's on your desk, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't know, especially after this year, I honestly don't know how much Nintendo cares, to be honest, about like third parties and like new AAA third parties, given that like the Switch had an amazing year this year as far as sales, and it was almost exclusively because of Animal Crossing. Like, I mean, they've known for a while, but I think this year has really, really cemented just how powerful Nintendo's first parties are for selling their system, like when they're good. And so I don't know how much Nintendo is worried about, like, if they can support third parties or not, if that makes sense.
Okay, I got my boxing gloves on. I don't agree. Here we go. They have a strong first party for sure. Animal Crossing was a fluke and a random situation that happened. I think that Animal Crossing is cool, but it's not that cool. It just worked out to being at the right time. It's that's my opinion. I think that indies are just as important as Nintendo's first parties, and without indies, they will not have. They couldn't just go on off of only their first parties. They either need third parties or they need like a third party like indie. They need all these indie games, and indies are using new engines. They are using new tech, and they are making better looking games. Like think of Mortal Shell, which is a game that I'm really into because it's like a Souls-like game, but that game looks amazing. I haven't done my research. I don't know if it's on Switch. I doubt it is though. I'm pretty sure it's just on like Epic Game Store or something like that, but maybe on like the consoles. Anyways, point being, that game looks amazing, and I don't think it could run on the Switch. And I think that they need to have a system that can play some of these indie games that maybe need more power, right? Because not all the indie games are just side-scrolling 2D games, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get what you're saying. I think, in my opinion, it's less that Nintendo cares about third parties and more that third parties care about Nintendo, where the Switch is such a successful platform. Like, that's why you see Bethesda attempting to port Doom Eternal to the Switch and failing. You know,
Or The Witcher 3.
Speaking of which, I have no idea what even happened to the Doom Eternal port. So it got like delayed and then delayed again. And I feel like they remember. I remember them saying something like, "Man, this is hard. Give us time." um, but yeah, I mean, I think the third parties aren't necessarily what brings people to the platform, because Nintendo has sat in that like secondary console space for so long at this point, where you have your Xbox and a Switch, or your PlayStation and a Switch. And so I think they're kind of comfortable in that. But at the same time, I mean, they should care about third parties, and they do to some extent. I just like personally don't know if they would design a whole new almost generation of consoles just to keep up with third parties when power and the ability to support those historically with like the Wii and the Wii U hasn't been necessarily a priority for them.
I feel like I agree with Nick, though, that indies are a huge seller for the Switch. Like, there are people who have a Switch and only have indie games. Like, there's huge indie games on Switch, like Baba Is You and Untitled Goose Game and stuff like that. And I think those are a huge selling point for Nintendo, and I think they have to realize that. I mean, regardless of how unaware Nintendo seems, I don't think they're that dumb. And I think they'll have to realize that those indie games are a huge deal for them, and like he said, they'll have to update to be able to play new indie games.
I can see that definitely. Yeah, I mean, like Tesla, my partner, I think the Switch is their main console, and they almost exclusively play indies on it. Like, they'll play first party and bigger games sometimes, but I mean, mostly it's Hades and Spiritfarer and stuff like that, not smaller stuff as much. But yeah, I definitely get that. Owen, do you have another prediction, or is that your last one?
No, I don't think I brought any more.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know, how many do you guys have?
I just have one left.
Okay, you want to bust that out, Nick?
Sure, I'll bust it out.
Awesome.
Okay.
My last prediction is just a goofy one, because every year there's someone who cries. I'm predicting no one cries because it's all digital.
Oh, really? Wow. Do we know if it's not?
I have no idea how it's gonna go,
right?
but I'm predicting nobody cries.
That's not a
It's
bad
gonna
bet.
be like a bunch of the like Sakurai Smash things where he's like in his living room.
That would make me so happy.
No, but actually,
everybody does one of those.
I actually accidentally deleted my actual serious my serious one. It was that. Do you guys remember that last year they had a little bit with the Apex Legends, and they had someone in a mocap suit with Mirage, right? And they were like acting as Mirage, and they were doing a whole thing, and they were talking about after like how that could be like a future thing in how events are done, right? What if they wanted to bring that back and do something, maybe not with Apex, but they wanted, so I'm predicting a motion capture bit. I don't know how they'll do it or with what characters or what, but I think that especially with the way it's going to be all digital right now, I think it's like a shoo-in, but I think that'll be a thing. There's going to be some motion capture thing where like characters are being acted out by other people, right?
I think Bowser plays Bowser.
I would love to see it.
That would be great.
I could see a character like actually presenting a award and stuff too, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
that'd be really cool.
I don't know who it would be to like
Tom Holland acting as Nathan Drake, handing out a award. That'd be great.
I'm trying to think of who would have had that sort of like presence this year, the same way like Mirage did last year, because Apex is pretty huge. But
they could have voice actors do their characters for like voice acting awards.
Ooh, that would be sick.
Yeah, that's how I think it would go, probably.
That'd be awesome.
Have like Ashley Johnson announce that she won.
That'd be so cool.
Well, no, not their own award, but
When the award goes
That's
to
good, too.
me.
Oh, that'd be funny.
that would work for the
Yeah.
Mirage bit, though.
Mhm,
He would do that.
you would.
That would be great. Yeah. Yeah. So this isn't a prediction, but it's something I want to ask both of you guys. What do you predict, or how many times do you predict they will say the word gaming in this event? Not video games, but specifically gaming.
Oh my gosh.
Can we make it a drinking game next Thursday?
Every time they say gaming. Oh.
um,
I didn't even
on
think about
stream.
this. I just thought of this idea.
I'm gonna say 10. No more.
And
I don't think it's gonna be
Really?
many. I don't think it's actually gonna be many. I think they're gonna say a lot of versions of games, that stuff. I don't think they'll say gaming.
I'm going to keep track of it on the stream.
Okay, make a doc.
I think it'll be more. I think they're going to talk about gaming brings us together. Gaming has
That's
saved the
one.
world.
Yeah, no,
You know,
I think they'll say
like that.
games
Like-
instead.
Okay,
Maybe.
then let me expand this question then. Or well, no, actually, I like it. Just gaming itself. It makes it more specific. I think I think 15. I was originally gonna say like 20, but
I was gonna say that seems low for you.
That was my
Yeah.
guess. I was thinking 2025.
Yeah, that was my original. Yeah.
You have to
somewhere
lock
around
in
there.
a number? Are we
Yeah.
betting?
We should lock
Are
in
we
a number
betting?
and see who's closest.
Lock in a
All right,
number?
yeah. I'm gonna write this down. So for Nick, you said 10, 10 gaming, Ziggy 15 gaming, and then are you saying 20 or 25, Owen?
10, 15, 20. That seems a little. It's too evenly spaced. I'm gonna go 25. I'm gonna go huge.
All right, 25 gaming. That's a lot of gaming.
Can we take a drink every
much
time they
gaming.
say award?
Did you say every time they say a word or award?
Award.
Oh,
Every time
okay.
they say
A drink every time.
Award.
Just get an
Oh.
IV at that point.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Yikes.
I agree. I mean, they're going to do the whole like, yeah, gaming saved the world type thing, especially this year with
Yeah.
like Animal Crossing on that. Yeah. Out of curiosity, Owen, we talked about this last episode, but you weren't on there. So, what do you think is going to win Game of the Year? Just prediction for that award.
Game of the year. Among Us. No.
Do you remember the nominees?
No.
I was gonna say, watch it be
don't.
something that's not the nominee.
I'm gonna be
Half-Life
honest with you.
Alyx. So the nominees are. Page is loading. It's taking a minute. So we got Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing: New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2.
I'm gonna go Ghost of Tsushima.
Really?
I think there's too much controversy around Last of Us 2. There was the audience was too split on that. I think it's gonna go Ghost of Tsushima.
Not
possible.
like you don't think Animal Crossing or Hades has a chance over that?
Hades has no chance.
No,
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Animal Crossing is huge, and I think Animal Crossing probably would be my personal pick for Game of the Year because I think it's the game that sort of defined this year. But that's not really how they tend to do it. They usually just go, "What's the biggest cinematic thing of this year?" And
Yeah,
that's a choice. But
is that how you would describe the game of the year for yourself, Owen? Would it be like the game that defined the year, basically?
yeah,
Or-
definitely. I don't think it would be the biggest, best-selling, most popular, whatever. I think it's sort of the game that defined the year more for me personally.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Cool.
I think I said this last episode, but I kind of feel like there should be like that. Yeah, the game that defined the game that was 2020, and also just like the best game of the year. Which honestly, maybe should just be game of the year and best direction, but I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't have much else to say as far as predictions go. Do you guys have any last final thoughts on that?
I'm just excited to see how this all pans out next Thursday.
Me too.
Because
Me
we're
too.
gonna be streaming, right? We're gonna be streaming
Yeah.
the whole thing, all 4 hours. I've said it, so now it's happening. Sorry, Zig. Goodbye,
It's
4
locked in.
hours. I am
So,
I am so excited to play Cyberpunk also. Are
just
we?
during it on your second monitor the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. I do not want to miss any story stuff. But I want to, but I won't. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Probably play some Demon Souls.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting to play Cyberpunk until I can get my hands on a Series X.
Smart.
I don't even know if my Xbox would run it. It would die because I have an original Xbox One, the OG. I don't have the One S or the One X or anything, so it would probably die. So I'm gonna wait until I can get my hands on a Series X. I think that'll be the best way to play it. I think.
Just borrow
I think I'm
Ziggy's
gonna do a similar
PC.
thing. Well, I was actually about to say I was thinking about getting it on my PC, but I just don't like playing that kind of game on my PC, I guess. Like I don't like playing longer games on my computer just because that's like not as comfortable, you know. So
Sit
for a
at the
game like that,
desk. You have to.
yeah. So for a game like that, I think I want it on a console. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for my Xbox for that. Yeah, no, I fucking love the Game Awards. I'm so excited. I'm like counting down the days to be honest. But yeah, I'm excited. Like we're probably gonna be wrong about everything, and if we are, honestly, that would make me extremely happy because I love not knowing what's gonna happen. As long as it's not fucking Fast and Furious Crossroads again, because that was stupid. That was dumb.
That was so stupid.
That was like the most like wet fart of a climax to that show where it's like there's one more thing and it was just like Fast and Furious was like, okay, whatever, there's fans of that. And then it's just like, oh, this looks bad. This looks really bad.
You know what's also dumb is when like you know why it's there. It's to get the people who aren't like as into the game industry, and they'll be like, oh, I know that, I've seen that actor, right? As they're flicking through TV or whatever, or on they're like checking out a stream. But like it happened for me because like Taylor would walk by and she'd be like, oh, that's neat, like, oh, I know who that is. And I'm thinking, this is the most boring part of the thing. Why are you looking at the TV right now? Like this is not interesting. But
that, or like the weird I guess that wasn't the Game Awards, that was Opening Night Live, where they started playing the Back to the Future music and they had like the skid marks and stuff, and then it was like, all right, now we're going to be talking about something completely different. It's so weird. Yeah, no, Jeff Keighley definitely makes some interesting choices with that sometimes.
He's getting older.
I have a predictions.
You have another one?
I have a predictions question for you guys. It's something a little different, but what do you guys think about what sort of things are going to make it into this year's cringe compilations?
Oh man,
with these conventions and awards things, anything video game related always has some cringe compilation following. So what do you guys think is gonna happen?
I already got one. It's gonna be the classic. It happens every time, but I think because everything's digital, it's gonna be way more prevalent. It's the big pauses in between transitioning, and or people, where it swaps to them and they're not ready and they sit there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hi, hey, yeah, how's it going? Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of that going on, or people talking over each other. So I think that'll be a good one.
I think that there's. I think that there's going to be some sort of like digital background joke, like Zoom background joke that someone's going to try to make, and it's not going to be good.
You're so right. Yeah, no. I think we are going to see a lot of like with Phil Spencer at every fucking convention where he just has like the worst looking, like he's always using like headset mic and some shitty webcam. Yeah. And like, which is so weird because he's like the head of Xbox. I think there's going to be a lot of that where you see someone's like shitty camera with like poorly green screened out background, like Zoom background. Yeah. I think, yeah. So the ones that I feel like always gets kind of memed into oblivion is the like interviews with devs and stuff, like where like not on the main stage awards, but like, in the pre-show and where he's like up on the side stage interviewing people. I feel like there's always some weird shit that comes out of that. And I don't know what that even looks like this year for the sort of like side stage awards and interviews. But I mean, I would guess that it would probably be something in there, because a lot of that is like the devs themselves and as people that aren't as used to being like on mic and in front of a camera. So they'll always kind of like slip up and say some funny stuff. But yeah.
So Owen, when you were talking about like the backgrounds and like the making fun of like the Zoom background stuff, like do you mean like where they'll call someone or they'll be talking to someone like, oh, how'd you get to Mount Doom or something like that kind of thing?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they're gonna like reference
I hope
it.
so. I hope so. That brings me so much joy, so much happiness when those happen.
It's gonna be like Reggie's like in like Super Mario 64 or something. And someone's going to be like, oh, wow, how'd you get there?
We're going to call into Reggie in Mushroom Kingdom. Hi, Reggie. What's the weather over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Perfect.
Another predictions question for you guys.
Give it to me.
Oh, I lost it.
Okay, just give it to me, and then a big pause.
You don't get it. You don't get to have it. Oh my gosh. Someone talk about something else. It'll come to me.
All right.
I think we're pretty close to ending the show. So
yeah, I think we're pretty close to the end. I will just kind of start doing the ending rigmarole while we think of it. This has been the Screen Peeking Podcast. Thank you for listening if you made it this far. You can find me, Ziggy Hickson, at anywhere, Twitch, YouTube. I'm working on some YouTube stuff right now. That's kind of exciting and scary for me, but it's something new. It's fun. My Instagram, at ZHicksArt on Instagram. I just said that. You can find Nick anywhere, just at Nicolobe. YouTube, Twitch. I mean, obviously you know the YouTube because you're there right now.
Hell yeah.
And then just to reiterate, this is YouTube only from here on out, so it's not going to be on podcast services, just in case you missed last episode, just because we couldn't afford the fees to post it there. And YouTube, it seemed to be doing the best anyway, so we're sticking there. Owen, have you remembered your question yet?
No, it's fine. We'll just...
Okay, well, I want to say then, before we close here, just to reinstate, yes, we don't have it on podcast services, but if you'd like to help out, I did actually today just set up a donation button option on my Twitch channel and on YouTube. And you only have my word to go by, but I would 100%, if people gave money towards that, I would 100% be given that towards getting this onto Spotify, iTunes, and back onto all those podcast services, for sure, because that's what it's for, right? That's awesome. That's the goal. So I got that set up today. That's cool. Besides that, Ziggy and I will definitely be streaming the Game Awards next week. Remember, it's December 10th, 4 p.m. Pacific time at least. And then I'll be streaming Cyberpunk. I guess I think it's December 9th. If everything works out properly, it'll be around 4 p.m. on that day. So I'll be playing it a ton, probably falling asleep before I put the controller down that night, because I can't stay up late. So I'll probably make it to about 10 and then fall asleep on stream. So if you're looking forward to watching someone sleep, then tune into that. And then I'll be playing that a ton, like throughout the next 4 days after that. I've took all those days off. And awesome. We'll be back for another Screen Peeking episode on Friday and kind of discuss the Game Awards and the results and all that stuff. That'll be fun.
Cool. Sweet. Also, the last episode went up did it go up on Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Okay, yeah. So this is also going to be the first episode that goes up on Sunday instead. So you're watching it when it came out, so you would know that by now. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking till the end. We love you, and goodbye.
Bye.